The quantum fluctuation alarms at SETI's Mauna Kea facility blared at exactly 3:47 a.m. Hawaiian time. Dr. Sarah Chen dropped her coffee mug, barely registering the ceramic shards scattering across the floor. The readings were unlike anything she'd seen in 15 years of scanning the stars. A massive object had just appeared at the edge of the solar system, moving at impossible speeds. Within hours, observatories worldwide confirmed the observation. A vessel, roughly the size of Manhattan, had emerged from what appeared to be a controlled rupture in space-time. Its trajectory brought it directly toward Earth, decelerating in a way that defied known physics. The world's governments scrambled to respond, but the visitor didn't wait for humanity's diplomatic protocols. The ship broadcast on all frequencies in perfect English. "We come seeking the lost seeds." Time grows short. Admiral James Harrison stood at the United Nations emergency session as screens display the alien vessel now in high orbit. "They're making no aggressive moves," he reported, "but their technology is so far beyond ours that traditional military assessments are meaningless. They could have weapons we can't even detect." The alien delegate who transported down called herself Navigator Lyra. Her humanoid form was unsettling in its familiarity, like humanity's image reflected in a warped mirror. "Your world stands at the nexus point," she announced to the assembled leaders. "The Dominion comes, as they have come for 1,000 worlds before. But you are different." She revealed the truth that would shake humanity's understanding of its own existence. Earth wasn't just another planet that had evolved intelligent life. It was a preserve, a carefully curated world where the survivors of an ancient spacefaring civilization had been hidden, their memories and technology suppressed, allowed to evolve anew in isolation. "Your ancestors were the precursors," Lyra explained, her crystalline eyes reflecting depths of sorrow. "When the Dominion rose, destroying all who might challenge them, the last precursor council enacted the Great Seeding. They scattered their children across the galaxy, hiding them on carefully chosen worlds, erasing their own memories, so the Dominion could not track them through their knowledge." Dr. Chen, now advising the UN Council, asked the question everyone feared. "Why tell us now? Why break the seal?" "Because you've exceeded all projections," Lyra replied. "Your isolation bred something unexpected. Most seeded worlds developed along predictable lines, rediscovering technology in measured steps. But your very struggles accelerated your evolution. Your wars, your competitions, your constant drive to overcome. You've developed neural pathways and cognitive abilities your ancestors never possessed. The price of this revelation came swiftly. The Dominion had detected Lyra's ship. Their fleet would arrive within 6 months, expecting to find another primitive world to subjugate or destroy. But they would find something else entirely. "We can unlock what was hidden within you," Lyra offered. "The suppressed memories, the intuitive understanding of technologies your ancestors built. Combined with your unique evolution, you might achieve what the precursors themselves could not." Admiral Harrison studied the tactical projections. 6 months to prepare for an invasion by the most powerful force in the galaxy. Even with restored knowledge, those aren't good odds. Lyra's expression shifted to something almost predatory. "The Dominion believes they are hunters, culling younger species before they can become threats. They don't realize they've been running a galaxy-wide breeding program, creating the very thing they feared most. You are not prey awakening to find wolves at your door. You are dragons who were taught to think you were lizards." The next day, as humanity began its transformation, Dr. Chen found herself staring at genetic sequences that seemed to unfold like encrypted software, waiting for the right key. "We're going to show them why the wolves should have left the dragons sleeping," she whispered, understanding for the first time the true weight of humanity's inheritance. The transformation began in dreams. Across the globe, humans reported vivid visions of impossible cities, advanced technologies, and distant worlds. Dr. Chen's team discovered that Lyra's activation signal had triggered dormant neural pathways, allowing access to genetic memories preserved through countless generations. It's like our DNA was a compressed archive, Dr. Chen explained to the Emergency Council, and now it's unpacking itself. She gestured to the holographic display, showing cascading changes in human brain activity worldwide. But we're not just remembering. We're innovating. Our ancestors' knowledge is combining with our own unique neural architecture. The first breakthrough came from an unexpected source. Maya Patel, a teenager in Mumbai, woke from a dream and drew schematics for a quantum field manipulator that even Lyra's people hadn't conceived of. "It's like I've always known how," she explained as engineers marveled at her design. "But I see how to make it better than before." Similar awakenings spread across humanity. A farmer in Kenya revolutionized molecular assembly. A street artist in Brazil solved gravitational field equations that had stumped physicists for centuries. The preserved knowledge of the precursors was filtering through the lens of humanity's evolved consciousness, emerging transformed and enhanced. Admiral Harrison watched as the first new generation defense platforms took shape in orbit. "We're building centuries of advancement into months," he observed. "But will it be enough?" Lyra's expression remained enigmatic. "You don't understand yet. The Dominion's power comes from technological superiority and rigid hierarchy. But you?" She gestured to a simulator showing human ships executing maneuvers that should have been impossible. "You're not just recreating precursor technology. You're reinventing it in ways they never imagined." The truth of her words became apparent as humanity's hidden legacy fully awakened. The precursors had been methodical, advancing through careful research and gradual improvement. But humans, shaped by millennia of competition and adaptation, fought differently. They saw connections their ancestors had missed, possibilities that had gone unexplored. Deep beneath the Himalayas, Dr. Chen made another stunning discovery. The suppressed memories hadn't just preserved technology. They contained warnings. "The Dominion doesn't just conquer," she reported grimly. "They harvest. Each species they subjugate is studied, their unique traits and technologies absorbed. They're not just an empire. They're a technological parasite." This revelation spurred humanity to even greater innovation. If the Dominion adapted by stealing others' advances, humanity would have to create defenses they couldn't copy. The solution came from an unexpected direction: the very traits the Dominion considered primitive. Our capacity for abstract thinking, for lateral problem solving, even our ability to act on intuition rather than pure logic, Dr. Chen explained. "These aren't weaknesses to be overcome. They're advantages our ancestors never had. We're not just remembering their technology. We're reimagining it completely." Maya's quantum field manipulator proved the point. Where precursor designs had focused on stability and control, her version embraced chaos theory and quantum uncertainty. "It's like jazz," she explained to the engineering team. "You don't fight the uncertainty. You improvise with it." As the deadline approached, humanity's preparations took on an almost fevered pace. But beneath the urgency lay a growing confidence. They weren't just arming themselves with recovered technology. They were creating something entirely new. The Dominion expected to find either primitive savages or pale copies of the precursors. They would find neither. Admiral Harrison stood on the observation deck of humanity's first true starship, watching Earth dwindle behind them as they tested the new drive systems. "We're not just the precursors' children anymore," he said to Lyra. "We're their evolution." Lyra nodded, but her eyes held a hint of wonder. "You've already surpassed them in ways they never imagined. The Dominion thinks they're coming to harvest another primitive species. Instead, they're about to meet their own extinction event." The Dominion scouts arrived ahead of schedule. 3 sleek vessels, each bristling with sensor arrays, dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the Kuiper Belt. They found exactly what they expected: a primitive civilization barely reaching for the stars, with crude satellites and a handful of small bases on their moon and Mars. What they couldn't see was the truth. Earth's apparent technological backwardness was an illusion, a masterwork of quantum camouflage based on Maya's revolutionary designs. Behind this veil, humanity had transformed itself. They're scanning for precursor energy signatures, Dr. Chen reported from the new quantum computing center beneath Geneva. But our systems don't generate those signatures anymore. We've moved beyond them. The scouts' presence added urgency to the final preparations. In underground facilities across the planet, the last pieces of humanity's defense plan came together. But these weren't just weapons. They were entirely new ways of manipulating reality itself. Admiral Harrison reviewed the latest simulation results with his global command staff. The Dominion expects us to either fight like primitives or mimic precursor tactics, he explained. Instead, we'll show them something they've never seen. Warfare evolved through human innovation. The new human ships weren't the elegant, streamlined vessels of precursor design. They were asymmetrical, almost organic in appearance, their shapes dictated by function rather than form. Inside, they operated on principles that would have baffled even their ancestors. Traditional shields try to be perfect barriers, Maya explained to the fleet commanders. But we've learned from Earth's magnetosphere. Our defensive systems are dynamic, adaptive. They don't just block attacks, they learn from them. The greatest breakthrough came from understanding what the precursors had missed. Where they had sought to master the universe through pure technology, humanity's hybrid approach embraced both science and intuition. The result was something entirely new: ships that responded to their crew's thoughts, weapons that anticipated enemy movements, and defense systems that adapted faster than conscious decision-making. We're not just fighting with technology, Dr. Chen observed as she watched the neural interface tests. We're fighting with human nature itself. Our creativity, our unpredictability, our ability to make intuitive leaps that bypass logical progression. The scout ships departed after a week of observation, transmitting their findings to the approaching Dominion fleet. Their report would describe Earth as a ripe target, a young civilization advancing quickly enough to be a potential future threat, but still far too primitive to resist immediate conquest. Lyra watched the scouts leave with a mixture of anticipation and concern. The Dominion believes they understand the pattern of technological advancement, she said. They think they know every possible path a civilization can take, but you've created a new path entirely. The final weeks of preparation saw humanity's transformation reach its peak. The recovered precursor knowledge had been fully integrated, but in ways its original creators could never have imagined. Human neural architecture, shaped by millennia of evolution in isolation, processed this ancient wisdom through the lens of terrestrial innovation. We're ready, Admiral Harrison announced to the Global Defense Council, but not in the way they could possibly prepare for. The new quantum sensors detected the Dominion's main fleet assembling at the edge of the solar system. Over 3,000 ships, each one carrying enough firepower to level a continent. They moved with absolute precision, their formations perfect, their coordination flawless. It was exactly the kind of methodical, overwhelming force that had conquered 1,000 worlds. But this time, something was different. As the Dominion fleet began its advance into the solar system, they failed to notice the subtle distortions in space around them, the first sign of humanity's new quantum field technology in action. They didn't detect the neural networks linking every human defender into a single coordinated consciousness that could react faster than any computer. They're about to learn what happens when you push humanity to its limits, Dr. Chen said, watching the tactical displays. We're not just fighting for survival, we're fighting to show the galaxy what human potential truly means. The trap was set. Humanity waited, hidden behind their quantum veils, as the greatest military force in the galaxy moved confidently toward what they thought would be another routine conquest. They were about to discover just how wrong they were. High Commander Vex of the Dominion fleet felt only contempt as his armada approached the third planet. The scout reports had confirmed everything they'd expected. Primitive defenses, basic space capability, no sign of advanced technology. Just another young species to be harvested or eliminated. Begin standard conquest formation. he ordered. "Prepare to disable their primitive satellite network." The first hint that something was wrong came when their targeting systems failed to lock onto any orbital installations. The crude satellites they detected earlier seemed to flicker, like mirages in desert heat. "High Commander," his sensor officer called out, confusion evident in her tone. "We're detecting nothing. All their orbital infrastructure has vanished." Vex frowned. "Impossible. Check for cloaking fields." "No known cloaking signatures detected, sir." It's as if. The officer's words cut off as new alerts blared across the command deck. Space itself seemed to ripple around the Dominion fleet. In the quantum-shielded command center beneath Geneva, Admiral Harrison gave the order they'd been waiting for: execute Operation Lazarus. The effect was immediate and devastating. The quantum field manipulators, based on Maya's revolutionary designs, didn't just decloak human ships, they turned space itself into a weapon. Regions of distorted spacetime appeared throughout the Dominion fleet, playing havoc with their carefully maintained formation. "Impossible!" Vex shouted as his tactical display showed human vessels appearing where none should exist. But these weren't the crude rockets they'd expected. These ships moved like living things, their forms shifting and adapting in real time. The first wave of Dominion weapons fire passed harmlessly through quantum-shifted space, while humanity's response demonstrated just how far they'd evolved beyond their precursor ancestors. Ships linked by neural networks moved with perfect coordination, their crews acting as one consciousness, anticipating and countering Dominion tactics before they could even fully form. Dr. Chen monitored the battle from her station, watching as their quantum field technology disrupted the very principles the Dominion relied upon. "Their weapons are based on conventional physics," she reported. "They have no defense against weapons that manipulate probability itself." The Dominion's rigid command structure became their greatest weakness. Their ships, designed to follow precise protocols, couldn't adapt to humanity's seemingly chaotic but devastatingly effective tactics. Where they expected to find predictable resistance patterns, they instead faced an enemy that seemed to ignore the very laws of physics. "They're trying to adapt," Maya observed, watching the quantum field readings. "But their technology is too linear, too dependent on causality. They can't copy what they don't understand." High Commander Vex watched in horror as his perfect formation disintegrated. Human ships seemed to phase through solid matter, appearing inside his fleet's defensive screens. Their weapons didn't just destroy, they altered probability itself, causing Dominion ships to encounter their own worst possible outcomes. "Fall back," he ordered, but even retreat proved impossible. The quantum fields had created a maze of distorted spacetime, trapping sections of his fleet in temporal eddies where time itself flowed differently. Admiral Harrison's voice echoed across all frequencies. "You came expecting to find primitive savages. Instead, you found humanity awakened. We are not your prey. We are not even your equals. We are your evolution." The battle lasted less than an hour. When it ended, nearly half the Dominion fleet had been destroyed or captured, their rigid tactics and superior numbers meaning nothing against an enemy that fought with both technology and human intuition combined. Vex stood on his command deck, watching the impossible unfold. His remaining ships, the pride of the Dominion, were being systematically dismantled by forces he couldn't even comprehend. "What are you?" he transmitted finally, his voice heavy with defeat. "We are humanity," Harrison replied. "We are what happens when you force evolution to take a quantum leap. You thought you were coming to harvest our technology. Instead, you've become a witness to your own obsolescence." As the remaining Dominion ships were surrounded, Dr. Chen made a startling discovery in their neural network. "Admiral," she called urgently, "the quantum field effects, they're not just disrupting their ships, they're affecting the Dominion crews themselves. Their neural patterns are shifting, evolving. We're not just defeating them, we're changing them." In the aftermath of the battle, the true scope of humanity's victory became clear. The captured Dominion ships revealed a civilization that had grown stagnant in its power, advancing only through conquest and assimilation, never through true innovation. Dr. Chen stood before the Emergency Council, presenting her findings about the quantum field's unexpected effects. The Dominion crews exposed to our technology aren't just prisoners, she explained. Their neural patterns are reorganizing, adapting. It's as if contact with our quantum fields is awakening something in their own minds. High Commander Vex, now in custody, experienced the change firsthand. "We thought we were the peak of evolution," he admitted to Admiral Harrison. "We never imagined, never conceived that isolation could breed such advancement. Your quantum technology isn't just reshaping space, it's reshaping consciousness itself." Maya's latest analysis confirmed this revolutionary discovery. The quantum fields humanity had created weren't just weapons or shields, they were catalysts for cognitive evolution. The very innovations that had helped humanity transcend their precursor heritage were now having a similar effect on their former enemies. It's not about conquest, Lyra realized, watching as former Dominion soldiers began to display new forms of consciousness. This is what the precursors never understood. Evolution isn't just about survival or technological advancement. It's about transformation. The implications spread across the galaxy like ripples in a quantum pond. The remaining Dominion fleet, scattered across their empire, found themselves facing a choice: evolve or become obsolete. The rigid hierarchy that had maintained their power for millennia began to crumble as more of their own people awakened to new possibilities. Admiral Harrison stood on the observation deck of Earth's new flagship, watching as joint human-Dominion crews worked together, their minds linked through enhanced neural networks. "We didn't just defeat them," he observed. "We showed them a new way to exist." The transformation wasn't limited to the Dominion. Other species, long suppressed or hidden, began to emerge. The quantum awakening spread, not as a weapon of war, but as a tool of consciousness evolution. Humanity found themselves not as conquerors, but as catalysts for a galaxy-wide renaissance. "The precursors seeded us on Earth, hoping we would survive," Dr. Chen told the First Galactic Congress. "Instead, we thrived in ways they never imagined. Our isolation didn't just preserve us, it forced us to evolve beyond their limitations." Maya, now leading the Joint Species Research Team, made perhaps the most profound discovery. "The quantum fields we created don't just affect technology or consciousness," she explained. "They're creating new possibilities for evolution itself. We're not just changing the present, we're opening doors to futures that never existed before." The remaining Dominion worlds, experiencing their own awakening, began to transform. Their rigid uniformity gave way to diversity and innovation. The very qualities they had sought to suppress, creativity, intuition, adaptability, became their salvation. Lyra stood with Admiral Harrison as they watched the first joint fleet depart Earth, carrying the quantum awakening to the far reaches of space. "Your ancestors hid you here, hoping you would survive," she said. "They never dreamed you would become the key to the galaxy's evolution." "We're all evolving now," Harrison replied, observing the ships of multiple species moved in perfect harmony, their crews linked in ways that transcended traditional consciousness. "The question is no longer about survival or dominance. It's about what we can become together." The final piece of the puzzle came from an unexpected source. Deep in the quantum networks, patterns emerged suggesting that the universe itself was responding to humanity's innovations. The barriers between consciousness, technology, and reality were dissolving, opening the way to forms of existence never before imagined. Dr. Chen's last report to the Galactic Congress summed up humanity's journey. "We were hidden away, our memories suppressed, forced to evolve in isolation. But that isolation created something unprecedented, a species that could think beyond the boundaries of conventional existence. We didn't just survive the Dominion, we transformed them. And now, together, we're transforming the galaxy itself." As the quantum awakening spread across the stars, Humanity found itself not at the end of a war, but at the beginning of a new chapter in cosmic evolution. They had become not just survivors or victors, but the architects of a new way of being. Proof that sometimes the greatest force in the universe isn't power or technology, but the unlimited potential of consciousness to transcend its own limitations. The stars themselves seemed brighter now, as if reflecting the expanded consciousness of those who gazed upon them. Humanity had not just claimed its place among the stars. They had changed what it meant to exist among them.